Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? Enjoying so far the beginning of the conference? Yes? Everyone's doing well? All right. All right. Well, our next topic, it's really just a discussion. We're just having a little chat amongst some of the siblings of some of the kids with Prader-Willi syndrome. And so I'm going to start off with my introduction of who I am first. My name is Rob Pividor. I am the co-chair for the Ontario Prader-Willi Syndrome Association. I've been involved with the association since I was 18. I'm 53, so I've been around for a long time. You could do the math. It's over 32 years, 34, somewhere in there anyways. And on the board of directors ever since and doing the children's program as well. So that's my involvement with Prader-Willi syndrome. And also Kate's mom kind of brought me into this whole thing. So, and I worked with her brother, John. The other part that you need to know about me is I also work in rehab. So I'm a coordinator for people who've had motor vehicle accidents. So that's my background professionally. And I think that's pretty much everything you need to know about me for now. Come talk to me. I can tell you more. And I'd like to meet everybody. I think I've met most people here now, and most people do know who I am. So I'm glad you guys are all here, and I'm glad these guys are all here. So today we're going to be meeting and talking with some of the siblings. We're kind of making it very casual. You guys can ask them questions too, but I have questions for them specifically. One of the things the reason why this kind of discussion came up is, as we know, a lot of our guys are getting older. And siblings that are around are also going to be kind of stepping in, or where they're going to fit in the future of their sibling too. So we were also at the conference in Phoenix, and there was a really great discussion that their panel was really. It was moving, and it was one of those things of just having an opportunity to let some of the parents hear and the professionals also hear from the other side, from the siblings as well. So that was one of the things that kind of drove us to make this being a topic of conversation. Some of the things I was looking up just with respect to challenges as a sibling, some of them specific just to, I think, all of us who are siblings, but also those with respect to a person with a disability, and more specifically here, Prader-Willi syndrome. So on top of those challenges, which I don't need to go through all of them, the biggest part is the potential strengths you guys have to offer your families and your siblings as well. So we're going to kind of talk a bit about those today, and that's where we're going to begin. But we're going to begin by getting to know everybody here first, and we're going to go to my left, and I got to pass this one over to you. So everybody has two mics.
Hi, is that working? There we go. I'm Kate MacKinnon. My brother, John, is 55. This is my first conference since 1995. I've just moved back from Nova Scotia to be closer to John and Dad after being out of Ontario for 30 years. I've been quite involved in orchestrating John's care and support for 15 or so years. And my daughter, Marnie, is also here with me today. So it's really nice to be back at a conference. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine. I am 26 years old, and my younger sister, Melissa, who is 22, has Prader-Willi syndrome. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the day, I still live at home with my parents and with my sister. My background is I'm a pediatric occupational therapist, and I think that this is my first conference attending as an adult. I grew up in the kids program, but this is my first one here in the main room.
Hi, everyone. I'm Noah. 23 years old, older brother to Julia, who's only 20 years old. Similar to Catherine, this is my first conference being a part of. I was a part of the kids club very much growing up too. Currently work as a mortgage funder in real estate, which kind of just started only 3 months ago because I only graduated last year, so glad I finally got a job. And yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Thanks, guys. And I think it's funny, we've all kind of grown up in the siblings program. I'm not a sibling, but I feel like one all the time, and that's part of the reason why I always felt like part of this family. So, getting on with the questions, we're going to kind of go through 6 different categories to kind of talk about and ask you some questions. So, we're going to be kind of starting off with just growing up, hearing more about your stories, how everything was. Give us a little bit of a few words about what it was like, for better or worse or everything, and just a better understanding what it was like growing up with your siblings. So, Noah, you got the mic, so.
Yeah. Mic. I think for me, like, when I was growing up younger, me and my sister's relationship felt pretty typical because we're only 2 years apart. So our relationship was like how your relationship is with most of your siblings. We played together. We fought over silly things. We'd argue one day and we'd be best friends the next day, but that's just how most siblings were. I think it wasn't until maybe around 10, 11 years old when I would go over to like other friends' houses and kind of see their relationship with their sibling or how their sibling behaves, where I noticed that, okay, maybe my situation isn't so typical as I thought it once was. But I think overall, growing up with Julia was just great. Like, my parents always did a really good job of letting me be a kid and letting me live my life, and they took on all those responsibilities for Julia. So I think when growing up, I was just a regular kid just hanging out with my sister.
I was talking to my mom last night on how I was going to answer this question. And I had told her that I don't remember part of my life without Prader-Willi being a part of it because I was 4 when my sister got diagnosed. So to answer this question on how it was like growing up, I don't really know anything else. So I'm deciding to share 2 stories from the past year to kind of give you a little snapshot of what my life looks like with Mel. So one of them is more around the food seeking. The other one is more around her bubbly personality. So I'll start with the food seeking one, then end with the good one. Privacy in our house is quite limited. Mel loves to rummage through every place to try to find food, and I will claim to be guilty that I have hid food in my room before, like candy, chocolate bars, and they have been found and they have been eaten. But there was one day a couple months ago where I was looking for my digital camera and I was tearing my room apart and I'm like, where the heck did I leave it? And I spent a week looking for it and I went, this is dumb. Mel takes account of my room like 4 times a week. Why would I not just ask her where my digital camera was? So I like go up there. I was like, hey, have you been in my room recently? No. And I'm like, do you know where my digital camera is? Yeah, it's in like the 3rd shelf of the blah, blah, blah in the back of this box. I'm like, thank you so much. So you have been in my room recently. Helpful. But now I've learned my lesson that there is no food in my room anymore. And then my other story about Mel is that Mel has always grown up with a really bubbly personality. And she had a moment back in June that I thought just fully encaptured who she is as a person. So Mel does creative drama programming with this organization called Drama Way. If you haven't heard of them, they are amazing. And they work with individuals of all abilities. They work for 8 months. It's a full production. They learn a script. They're in full costumes. They're in full makeup, mics, the whole thing on like a professional stage. So Mel is up there, she's reading her lines like a star, and she is a cheerleader in High School Musical this year, and she is crushing it, and she fits the peppy vibe. She comes on for her second scene, and she doesn't have her pom-poms in her hand. So she's delivering her lines. The director of the production narrates the whole thing, so in case someone forgets their line or someone needs to be put back on track. So she's providing her line, and Mel, in the middle of the production, off script goes, looks left, looks right. Where are my pom-poms? Just fully off script, doesn't care that the presentation is going on behind her. She's like, I need my pom-poms. And that is Mel to a T. Just fully bubbly, doesn't care what anybody else thinks. And she's gonna say it with a smile on her face. So those are my 2 stories.
I've had an opportunity to meet your sister and we had a good time. So it was a lot of fun.
So I obviously grew up in a different era than these 2. John was actually diagnosed at 2, which was pretty early for early 1970s. So again, I never knew a world without Prader-Willi, but that would have been an exception for our cohort families. To me, there's just so many extremes of wanting to strangle my brother. I sabotaged him many times. And I think I went to therapy. My mom got me to therapy when I was 11 or 12, again, unheard of in the 80s. And the take home from the counselor was, yeah, but you're just a normal brother and sister. I'm like, oh, everybody wants to kill their brother? So that was, I remember having this eureka, like, oh, like this is the first time in my whole conscious childhood that I felt normal. And my mom and dad did a good job of making that happen. One of my favorite, it's not really more a food obsessive stories. My cousin reminded me, we were at a lodge on Lake Couchiching, and the parents, it was the 70s, so you know what the parents were doing. No supervision. We were all jumping on the bed with tons of candy, and my cousin had a gobstopper in her mouth, went, oh. And I'm like, she needs a drink. And my brother had a can of Fresca. And we're like, give us the Fresca. She's going to die. He's like, oh, I'm not giving anyone my Fresca. So finally we did find a parent through the interconnecting rooms, and she lived. But it was like, we'll get you a new Fresca.
Oh, they're good stories, like good memories of everything, right? So, everything's always a little bit of good, a little bit of, sadness. But I think you guys, thanks for sharing that part of your story and where you guys have been growing up and, what you guys have been through so far. The other part, too, is now, like, going through your daily life and some things that might have happened or you had to come across. How did you, as you were growing up, if you came across somebody who needed, wanted to know more about what your sibling's condition was, like, how did you guys get that through to people? Like, what was that like?
I already felt in most of the circles that we traveled, be it extended family, close friends, that like the groundwork had been done by my mom mostly. My dad was the king of inclusion. John went to every sporting event on the planet. And
we went together.
Went and worked at his drugstore sometimes. And so I already had the vocabulary to speak to. It was easier to speak to the food behaviors than the behavioral stuff, but the tantrums occurred a lot, and cool as a cucumber. It was just, oh well,
this is it.
This is life. This is life,
through,
and I think the calm that people who knew John had during those situations really helped people who were new to it understand and accept quickly. So, yeah, again, my parents to thank for that.
Yeah.
I think I have a slightly different family experience, like extended family, I should say. Grew up Italian. Food is everywhere at Christmas, at Easter, at New Year's, all the things. And trying to explain to our family that this food being out, even if it's in the next room or if it's out on the counter, is so anxiety-inducing for her. I'm not sure that our extended family has really grasped it, because the Italian roots are still going strong, that no, the food must be out. But from a friend perspective, I can say that we've had a lot of friends and family be super interested, ask questions. Even when I was younger, my friends growing up, I kind of always explained it to them like an allergy. She can't control it and it can't go away. You can't just give her a cookie and then she's satisfied. It's not like you can give someone a cookie without nuts in it and then you give them a cookie with nuts and then the allergy goes away. And it's the same thing for her. So I kind of use that analogy growing up with friends that were my age.
Right. That's a good one. I like that. That's interesting way of putting it. So I know us Italians, we're stubborn people, so that's what it is. Like, we just don't want to get it through our head sometimes.
Yeah, so for me, thankfully, a lot of the friends that I've had in my life, I've been friends with since a child. So they got to grow up with Julia as well and kind of saw how she was firsthand. But I think whenever I had to explain Julia to somebody, I would just keep it simple. I didn't want to kind of overwhelm them with complicated wording and a big long speech. But I would give a baseline as to how her behavior is, kind of related to maybe other forms of special needs that they're aware of, but always explain the biggest part, which is that she's never full. And it was interesting to see, because as kids, like, we don't really understand it, but now all as adults, my friends ask me more questions. My girlfriend asks me more questions. I see them intrigued. They've seen the good and the bad of Julia firsthand, so they know what it's like, especially my girlfriend knows what it's like for sure. But yeah, I was pretty open-ended and it was very cool to see my friends be interested in Julia. They always do like a great effort of talking to her when they see her, engaging her. I can see that it puts a smile on her face. And I've even had two of my friends learn about PWS in university, which was really interesting to hear about. One of my friends, he does clinical research for breast cancer, but he got to learn about like the scientific aspect of PWS, which I can barely even understand, to be honest with you. And then my other friend who's in health science, he had an obesity class where he got to learn about that side of PWS. And it was really heartwarming to see my friends come to me and like be very interested in my sister, because they don't have to do that. Like, they're just my friend. But so yeah.
No, like, again, great stories, great information, guys, to share with everybody. That it's a good feeling that you know, the people that are around you, your family members and the friends and stuff like that you guys have had that communication discussions with openly. So it's really nice. Just kind of going on to talking more about some of the other just your personal stuff that's happened within your life. And what you've learned from your sibling as well. So just coming back to your experience, what they taught you, right? So having the things that you've learned from them. So
I think one thing we can all agree with is we definitely learned how to be patient. Yeah, for sure. But I think she definitely strengthened my emotional intelligence in a way, because you never knew what Julie you were going to get that day, or even what Julie you were going to get in the afternoon compared to the morning, how she was before school or after school. So learning how to deal with such a wide range of behaviors in one day or even 30 minutes apart from each other, and really understanding that your reaction and how you are towards her makes a big difference. Sometimes, still to this day, it's hard to bite your tongue, and you know, they'll yell at you, they'll get mad at you. She's still my little sister. She's gonna get annoyed at me. Sometimes she hates me, sometimes she loves me. But sometimes you have to take a step back and think, okay, this isn't just my little sister talking. This is, you know, something bigger. And I think that's a huge thing that I've carried on to the rest of my life. I'm never quick to judge anybody, truthfully. I always wait to see people for who they truly are, because I hope that's how people treat Julia. You know, I've seen very sad stories of Julia come home from school and be upset that someone bullied her. And she's like to see such a kind soul get hurt the way she's been hurt before. It's taught me to never treat anybody like that. Yeah.
definitely learning something from that I see with all you guys, and I've seen it because I've been around for a while, and talked to a lot of the siblings down in the group session where we always were, and the compassion that you guys have for your siblings is more than other big brothers and sisters that stick up for them. So it's very. It's good. It's a good feeling. So don't ever let that go.
I'm gonna piggyback here a little bit and talk about also. Melissa's taught me a lot about empathy and a lot about the power of inclusion, and inclusion being different than integration. Grew up seeing my sister go through multitudes of therapy, being pulled from school when other kids were in school all day so that she could go get the support that she needed, really inspired me, which is why I'm now working as an occupational therapist with pediatrics. Be it majority of my caseload are kiddos with autism, I still feel like I can connect to those families more so than someone else in my clinic who doesn't have a sibling or the lived experience. And I don't say that in a boastful way, but oftentimes parents will look at me and sometimes they'll be ashamed to tell me of a behavior that went on at home, or ashamed to explain to me how they dealt with it at home. And I can always meet them with empathy by saying, I'm never gonna judge you for what happens in your four walls because you don't know what happens in my four walls. I can completely understand. So she has opened me up to a community that I probably never would have known existed. I do a lot of work with Special Olympics as well in their fundraising branch with Motion Ball. So I run an integrated sporting event every year. We're raising money for Special Olympics. And Mel gets to be there every year and seeing the smile on her face. Granted, she's not participating in the sports because that's not her thing, but she's walking around and she is the day's vibe enforcer for sure. But everybody else that's there, that's playing sports, whether that individual has Down syndrome or autism or Prader-Willi, she has opened me up to this community that I don't have words to describe it. It's just something really, really special.
It is.
Yeah.
I know, and we all know. And I think that's, like I said, bringing you guys here and kind of sharing that, what you've learned from all this, like that non-judgment kind of feeling of things. It's great to say, and also for everybody else to kind of see as well. So thanks.
Yes to all of this, for sure. What strength is in itself is a huge thing I've learned from my brother and my family. Patience, acceptance. I went back to school at 40 and became a teacher, and right away it was obvious that I had just like not an expertise or a gift, but the kids that had more behavioral challenges in class, I was drawn to them faster, and just no rigidity around that, which is, you don't, as all of you know, you don't always see that in the public education system. So that's definitely a gift that I got from my experience as a kid and growing up.
Thanks, guys. You guys really kind of, in a way, I know there comes some sad stuff in there, but at the same time, you're kind of giving a lot of hope, and your strengths that you got from it are endless in all your work that you do personally as well in all your lives. So I think it's pretty amazing. So supporting and understanding is another kind of topic as we're going through it. You guys kind of touched on it out, but who in your lives has who's helped you in best supporting? Well, I think I already have the answer on a couple of people here that who helped you support you best with helping your sibling out.
A longer list when you get to this age, but you know, as my children are in their 20s now, they've been supporting me support my brother since a very young age, like under 10, I would say. They were helping to redirect, manage, distract John at, family visits that were often stressful times, and always lots of food at our house. And certainly some very incredible support workers. Obviously, this one here, who's put a lifetime into it. John still goes out with someone who worked at a group home. He's now in his 70s and takes John out every week. A group home manager and one of his primary caregivers organized my mom's funeral because I didn't have the capacity to do it at the time. John was in psychosis when Mom died, and it's just these people did that because they loved John and loved my mom. But he's just such a lovable person, so I'm very lucky.
You guys got to stop crying before me because I can't beat it. I think the biggest person in my life has been my mom. From the moment Mel got diagnosed, my mom was not going to take this sitting down. She was going to fight the whole way. Damn it. And she's just been a huge part in my life. My mom has always left the space for me to be me. Oh, man. Yeah, so my mom has been the main component in my life. And just the community that this Prader-Willi family has brought. A funny story that when I was in grade 6, I had to write a hero paper on somebody in my life that I thought was a hero, and I wrote it on Tanya. So this family has really brought me so much. And like even when we were standing at the back before, Tanya was telling us a funny story about Dante and Denzel, and she was even saying like, I wouldn't be able to say this to anybody else if they weren't a sibling or if they didn't have the experience, that they wouldn't understand it. And I really truly feel that in this room, in this community. It's just a safe space to share stories, get a laugh, get a cry at the same time, but it's just lovely.
Yeah, I think kind of to piggyback off of Catherine a bit, my parents are always going to be my biggest supporters. Big baby. But yeah, like since a child, they always wanted me to live my life. Julia is their responsibility. I do grasp the fact that one day she's going to be more my responsibility. But my parents always told me to reach for the stars and go after what I want to go after. And I think outside of my parents, my girlfriend's been a big help too over the past 6 years. Like, she just jumped into this whole new world without really knowing. And she loves Julia. Julia is always excited to see her. She brings Julia a lot of love and laughter, especially days that are hard. When she comes over at the end of the day, it puts a smile on Julia's face and it makes our night a lot better. So that's something I know my whole family is very thankful for. And kind of similar to what I said before, like my best friends have been my friends since I was 10 years old. So like they really, really know Julia more than like a friend should really know your sibling, to be honest, but we're just that close of a group. So it's just great to have a group of people around that help you, but also as someone to vent to, because sometimes you really just do need to let it out. Our days are very hard as well, and that's not something I always want to put on my parents because I see what they already have to do with Julia, so why add more to the burden? So having my girlfriend, my friends around to just talk, to just say how I feel, to cry if I need to cry, is very, very helpful.
So we're going to go a little off script, just because that's me. And we're not going to go into the next one, because we kind of talked a little bit about it. Just give us a funny story of something that happened. Something, anything, just out there that kind of will throw the group into just hysterics of something that ridiculously happened with your sibling out in public that you just didn't know what to do with it or how it went. I don't even care, whatever it is. I have a few because I worked with John, and John and I had a lot of them. Like I could tell you, if I told you the one right now, well, I won't tell you. It's okay, you guys talk.
Yeah. One thing about Julia, she knows how to get what she wants, for sure. She is very smart, very clever. And I remember one time, I forget how old I was, but we were still in elementary school, and there was the Scholastic Book Fair, which I'm sure most people know of. And just so happens my birthday falls around Scholastic Book Fair, and I had about $200 in my piggy bank that went missing. And Julia comes home with a bag full of books, toys, bookmarks, like she just won the lottery. You know, where did you get all this money? Definitely was very mad at first, being a little kid. Why'd you steal all my money out of my piggy bank? I don't have a job. But looking back, it's very funny, and that kind of just speaks to who Julia is as a person as well. Like she knows how to get what she wants, for good and for bad. But for good, many times she knows how to work hard. She knows how to, if she really, really wants something, she will definitely figure out a way how to get it.
Wasted some of my good funny stories at the beginning. The one that I can think of that traumatized me but was really funny in the moment, when I was in grade 12, one of my best friends won valedictorian at that time, but he was running up against my arch nemesis, let's just call it, for grade 12. And my friend saw my sister, and my sister said, "Congrats, friend, on winning valedictorian. I think Catherine is really happy." And there were probably about 10 people around when this happened. And my best friend said back to her, "I thought Catherine wanted insert arch nemesis to win, and my sister in front of 10 people that were not all my friends went, "Catherine hates her." So she's always listening. She loves to put her AirPods in the car and not put any volume on and listen to me and my mom gossip in the front seat. So gotta be real careful with her because she is always listening and she's clocking everything.
I'm going to pass this to you.
To me? Oh, okay, so John and I are at the gym. I used to take John to the gym all the time, and at times when he was in a good mood and independent and everything, I'd give him a little space so he could do some of those exercises that we had and everything. So he was really good at that. And plus he could socialize and interact with everyone, just to let him be him, like at the gym, like every other guy, every other person. So, but there was a girl that I knew from high school who happened to be there, and she looked like she potentially could have had Prader-Willi syndrome as well. But that was just visually looking. So John turned around and looked at me, and well, actually, I was kind of far from him at that point because he was working out. So Mr. Casanova thought he was going to actually, give a little bit of a, hey, looks like you're here to lose a little bit of weight too. And this echoed across the gym to me on the other end, where I dropped my weights and I was like, oh, okay, I gotta run over to kind of, mediate this one really quick. And so we got in there and there was John just smiling at me like, that was the line of a lifetime. I did it, Rob, I did it. And I was just like, yeah, that's great. So how you doing? And we went on. But so off the cuff comments were always fun to deal with. And he's a bundle of, like, I don't know, just, he's always social. So as we all know, they all talk a lot, right? So looking back as the last thing, just to kind of talk about, giving yourself a little bit of advice to other people about how to kind of, address the fact that you have a sibling with Prader-Willi syndrome and stuff like that. So, and after, I'll let you start.
I gotta read that again. Sorry. Just embrace the individual that you have in your life. One of the things I admire most about John is that pure joy is simple, it's fleeting, but it comes right back the next most unexpected moment. So, he teaches me how to be present in a really busy life where that is a challenge for me. So I'm always looking to him to, what is a really accessible, simple joy in life, and he's the superstar of that.
I think the biggest thing, kind of piggybacking what you said, is to learn from them when you can. Like if Mel was sitting in this chair right now, she probably wouldn't have given up the mic for the whole 45 minutes and talked your ear off, where this is very, very different from me. So learning from her confidence, her not caring what other people think, and then the other side of it would be, as a sibling, to lean into the community, whether it's the community in this room, or if they're partaking in, Special Olympics, or if they're doing like my sister's drama programming, leaning into that community, helping out where you can, because there's so many amazing individuals to meet along the way that are also going to share the experiences you did, and you can get support from them as well.
I think to kind of piggyback off of that, I think there's a saying, comparison is the thief of joy. I think that's a big thing. Something I grasped with when I really started to understand Julia was comparing our life. Why us kind of feeling? Why do we have to have a lock on our fridge? Why do we have to have a lock on our cabinets? Why is dinner at 5:30 every single day? Why do me and Julia have to have the same snacks and the same portions? And you really struggle to grasp with it as a little kid because you're still a little kid. But now as I got older, I think that I'm the lucky one in a way because Julia has shaped me to be the person I am today. I have a very rare experience that most of us have, of course, but outside of this room, it's not an everyday thing. You don't walk past somebody every day that's going through what we are going through. And although can be very difficult, I think to just try to always look at the half glass full type of feeling. Take every day in stride, understand that it's going to be hard. It's not easy at all. And I think that's just something I've learned to figure out as I get older. And I'm sure I will still continue to deal with and figure out more of as me and Julia both get older, because we're both only 20 in our 20s. So yeah, still a lot to learn.
So we're going to kind of wrap it up here, guys, as we got to move on with the rest of the conference. But I wanted to say thank you. And actually, one of the things, so I had about 4 different kind of points, or like a little kind of closing quote. And I was trying to figure out which one to do, but it depended on the conversation. So I thought this one was probably the best. So, siblings of individuals with disabilities embody a profound strength, one built on empathy, patience, and an unwavering sense of responsibility that enriches families and communities alike. And you guys have just proved that in your talk and sharing all your stories and everything else with us today. So I just wanted to thank you guys. You guys are a pillar and a big part of this community, and you are going to be joining me a little bit more to help me out and help out the community. So I hope you guys can. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. And if everybody would like to give a round of applause for these guys, they were great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are great. You guys are awesome. Hey, well done. Thank you.